Elizabeth hung on by believing all the things he told her, the things she told herself. But the biggest lie she told was that it would be okay. Lulled by the soothing rhythm of the propellers of the 1950s-era Electra, Elizabeth leaned into the ample, well-worn leather seats and imagined the plane's original flyers as she hurtled 9,000 kilometers east to where the pragmatic Arctic slammed into the churlish Atlantic. When she'd accepted the curator's position, she didn't know she'd be one of only 57,000 people living in the vast 3.5 million kilometers of the northernmost reach of the North American continent. Almost a year since she'd arrived, and with the art evaluations, she'd traveled to landscapes previously unimagined, like the mountains that stood as fierce sentinels to the NWT's sovereignty. Then there was the magical Mackenzie Delta that she'd flown over in fall, when glistening threads woven into the Vermilion tundra created intricate patterned lace. The Arctic, an odd terminus for an ex-American / failed Angelino / failed artist / failed girlfriend. Oh, she'd been warned about Julian when she'd unknowingly gushed about their first date to a life model, who also happened to be his ex. He drags you into his coils with charm, then he tightens, and confusion sets in, so you can't escape. And trust me, you will want to escape, because the charm is but one side, and rage is his twin. None goes unscathed. The woman promised more, but by the next class, Elizabeth was out of university and moved in with Julian. She turned from the memory. Below them, in the sweeping in-between of the great barren lands, the retreating glaciers of the last ice age had scoured all elevation, leaving vast tracts of the Earth's mantle exposed. Along the eastern coast, the Atlantic gouged deep fjords into a resolute coastline. Further north was the Arctic Ocean, an immeasurable frozen plain, punctuated by a few months of slips of open water with frozen monoliths so startling in their immensity they exceeded comprehension. The sense of the breathtaking was omnipresent in the Arctic, no matter where you went, just as was the ever-present sense that with nature, the difference between life and death was simply a single poor decision. A single poor decision. Was that what had created her hell in L.A.? Driven by the terms of endearment of flake and coop, heard throughout childhood, she'd pushed to stand out, yet felt like an oddity under scrutiny, a never-fit-in kind of person. But with Julian, she was one of the few included in the magical world of his presence. And that was as intoxicating as the drugs he introduced her to. After quitting her classes, Elizabeth worked as a life model to make sure they had rent money. Oddly, given the studio had always been her sanctuary, her unease in being there now was as if it had never been anything else. Her disappointment was too deep to acknowledge. And with every day that went by, Julian sculpted her. Along with the childhood in Seattle, the disaster in LA, this hard land, the last place on earth man does not control, has also shaped her. She remembered a story Dietmar told. It's been said 2 kinds of people come to the North, those running from something and those looking for something. Once in the North, these camps split even further into those who loved the land and couldn't imagine life anywhere else, and those who hated it and can't wait to get the hell out. Coming from the big southern city, Elizabeth came to the Arctic with a misperception of the coziness of nature, thinking of it as a place where the interplay of hues and textures and shadow and light created inspiration, a space intricate and complex, yet deceptively simple. Here, where the mind's world did not reign, one could find a portal to something larger than oneself. But it wasn't long before the Arctic landscape undermined her concept of nature as the benevolent mother. The North's vast wilderness paraded its unpredictability, its physical danger, a threat that shredded all confidence in your ability to be nature's match. It was different for Margaret. As an Indigenous person, her profound connection to the natural world was inseparable from her spirituality, and her spirituality inseparable from who she was. Margaret once said that after a long week in Yellowknife, the forest at her cabin outside the city embraced her, pulling her into its bosom, as if an old friend. She said when there, footsteps on the snow were distinct, yet blended in perfect harmony with the squirrels. When she inhaled the crisp air, the forest's earthy fragrance was always familiar, yet at the same time always new, with some unfamiliar nuance. There, where all her senses were awakened, no man-made division between human and nature existed. Mid-afternoon in the land of the long winter nights shifted early and softly, then bang was pure dark. As they flew, memories opened by her enforced idleness demanded Elizabeth's attention. Once Julian's presence had steadied her. Now there were only snarls tossed in her direction. Oh, her knight in shining armor didn't disappear overnight. He simply rusted away, one needle at a time. With his increasing drug use and erratic behavior, gallery owners stopped taking Elizabeth's calls about an exhibition for him. Enraged by their stupidity, Julian sank further into a drug-fueled oblivion. In those last days, they skated as close to the edge of poverty as was possible without completely succumbing. Then Julian burned an exhibition contract Elizabeth had begged a gallery for, and she accepted surrender.